So this is actually going to be another episode of the Inside Line. Today I'm here with my friend Robert Diaz from Hush Performance. We're working on his EF, actually his Arturo. What's Arturo?
Arturo Parker.
It's
one of my good friends. We've been working on his car for a while. Some of you may have seen this car, and if you haven't, go ahead and check out Hush Performance there on YouTube also.
Yeah, nice, beautiful build. It's a little bit dirty right now because of the rain the other day. But it's developed a wiring problem.
So the car's been like had its up and downs like a lot of cars do. In the time that we've had it for like the last 2 years, this car's been pretty much a show car for the longest period of time, and every time that we're done with the show, we decide to upgrade something else, and once we change that, then it's down for a few months. Yeah, it's down for the whole period of time until the next show comes up, and then we have to show it off again, and then we never have a lot of time to actually work on it. One of the things we've had an issue with was getting the starter to actually start using the key. So it's like a wiring nightmare like a lot of EFs do. But fortunately, because I have Brian here, he's going to help us out because he's got some tricks, and this is what he's been doing. This is what he does.
Wiring's what I do. So this actually has a tuck wiring harness, and one of the things that's always kind of weirded me out about tuck wiring harnesses, they don't use a very large gauge wire for the starter. So I suspect we may have a burnt up wire that may have welded itself to some other stuff inside the wiring harness. Now, if it turns out that it's going to require us to take the harness apart, that's going to be kind of a drag, but I'm hoping we can just go outside of the harness and see what's up. But the first thing we need to do is figure out what the problem is. We did a little test. We looked to see if there's any voltage. For some weird reason, we've got like 3/4 of a volt showing when we do a voltage test, and there should be 0. So I think that there's a little bit of connection in there that shouldn't be, phantom connection. So next thing I'm going to do is climb inside here and try to find the original starter wire and see if I can't figure out if see if I can't isolate the problem. We'll test from that point, see if it's working, and if it is, great, we'll just run a new wire from there. If it's not, then we'll go up the line and see if we can't figure out where the problem is. But anyway, time to dive in.
Has the starter wire at, that's it right there. Is my tester sitting over there? Oh, it's probably behind.
Yeah, it's under your elbow.
Can you, Robert, can you see my... I'm going to need somebody to turn the key.
Ready?
Not quite. Okay. Turn the starter on. Turn the start position.
Ready?
Yep.
Start finish.
Nothing. I'll double check, make sure I've got it in the right spot. Yep. Leave it there. Are you in start position still?
No.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Wiring's back from there.
So on an EF, there's a big flat 8-pin plug that the starter wire connects to. It comes from the ignition switch, actually from the clutch interlock relay. So that wire isn't turning on. So the next question is it a problem with the clutch interlock? Is that what the deal is? So I'm going to check the segment of wire that goes between the starter switch and the clutch interlock and see if that's where the problem is. So when you're changing wires, what happens basically is the relay is two sets of wires. These two wires, basically, when current goes to them, they connect to these other two wires. Okay. So if the other two wires are gone, they're no longer connected.
Right.
If those other two wires are still there, you can jump them.
So the neutral safety switch.
That doesn't need to be in there.
Right. It's two wires.
Yeah.
You normally just loop those. What I'm saying is those two could have been looped, and then with my removal, how do I say it? Going back, I pulled the cabin harness out and I removed all the plugs that we weren't normally using. Well, in this scenario, since it's an OBD1 car, I just removed all the OBD0 plugs that aren't there. This car wasn't using a jumper harness, it was using a direct OBD1 conversion harness, which goes directly into the ECU, and we're not using the OBD0 plugs anymore, so I pulled those out of the harness. The neutral safety switch on this version of conversion, on our cable to hydro conversions, we supply you with replacement hardware because we found out that the neutral safety switch, which is also used as a retainment bolt, breaks because it's too weak. So we send replacement hardware in a racing scenario. This is a race car, so that stuff wasn't necessarily needed for our use. So we replaced the bolt, which is why we looped the wire. I may have pulled those out, assuming just those two wires out of the plugs themselves, wherever they were pinned at. So if that's the case, if the wires aren't there, then technically they're not looped, and it would see an open circuit.
Correct, and it would never start because the relay would never be triggered.
Right. So the reason I'm bringing that up now is that could be it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking this right now.
Yeah.
And if it was, then we would have to find the pins where those normally go.
So no, we don't have to do that. No. What we can do is we can simply pull the relay and jump the two wires right there.
Okay.
So, which would be the easy way to do it.
So maybe that would be a quicker way to go
Just
about it.
Try
just
that
to
out.
check. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, you want to be near this thing so you can warm up. Everybody stand around, put their hands up. This is a jumper for our relay, so I think the clutch interlock switch is no longer hooked up, so we're just going to jump the relay. We'll pull the relay out and plug this in its place. I'm just insulating it so it doesn't short out against stuff underneath the dash there. Or if we don't have 12 volts here, then we know we got a problem there.
Okay, so how about a set of dikes this time? You know, sometimes when I'm lonely and I wanted to cuddle up, or at least feel like there's something close to me, I just get in here and hang out, you know. Oh, no, I haven't. Feels good. We're down here. This right here is the neutral safety switch relay. I'm sorry. This is the neutral safety switch relay, and Brian had some suspicion that this was faulty. So what we did is remove this and we jumped the plug. And there's only two wires that really matter, and those two, it's going to be the black with white stripe and then the black with the red stripe. And essentially we just made a jumper that jumps the two together, which eliminates it. So we're kind of using this for diagnostic reasons, just to see if we can get it to start. So we're getting ready to do that now.
Okay. Yeah. Yay. Fixed. Well, the problem was probably the neutral safety switch. Even though it had been jumped, there's probably something happened over a period of time with it. Perhaps the relay was even bad. That could be true. So we basically just jumped the relay. Now the starter works on this thing. He's ready to climb out of the car. You know, if we let Miklo in on this side, he'd come in there and lick your face and you'd get out of there in a hurry.
Yeah, you're right. Dang, time to start cutting again, huh? Oh.
Going back on a diet, you can tell.
Oh. Look, your chili is great, but geez, it's putting the pounds on right where I don't want it.
Where is that?
Vegas. They do it every year. They do it every Saturday after SEMA.
Nice. It turned out to actually be a pretty simple fix in this particular case. In the end, it was a bad relay. If you, just kind of a few words, if you're running into a similar situation like this where the starter's not working, what we did was first look to see if we got 12 volts down here at the starter wire at the starter. Had we been getting 12 volts there, we would have known the problem actually was with the starter itself. That wasn't the case. We also knew it was a good starter because we'd been jump starting it. Next, I went to the next connection. Normally on an EF, it's here at the firewall right here. This car, everything's been sucked inside, so we had to climb inside the car to check it. There was no voltage there. So the next position to check was back at the relay. There was power coming in on one side of the relay, but not power going out on the other side of the relay. So in this particular case, since he'd already removed the clutch interlock switch and it wasn't necessary to have that in the car, because race car, we decided just to go ahead and jump the relay. So we popped the relay out, made a little jumper wire, stuck it in there, and everything worked fine. The key to figuring out electrical problems really is knowing where the circuit goes and testing it at each junction to see if there's a problem. That way you can isolate where the problem is and see where there might be a problem at what point. So if you take your time, you have a good multimeter, you're familiar with the circuitry, it's actually pretty easy to fix electrical problems. It's not that difficult. Ready, fired up? Let's give it a shot. All right.
That's a good thing.
Ready?
Alright guys, well, thank you for tuning in to VTEC Academy. I'm going racing.